My name is Wilson Ronda.
And where are you from?
I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm 25 years old. I'm currently studying veterinary medicine here in London. This is my second degree. My first degree is in animal science, with minor basically in agriculture.
Would you like to just tell me a little bit about your background with ADHD, when you were diagnosed and your experiences?
Well, I've always, so to give you a little bit of a more detailed background, I've always had a bit of trouble studying and concentrating myself while doing any task. But obviously, when you're growing up, your parent thinks that you're just a little kid, you just need discipline and whatnot, you're just lazy. Um, Fast forward to when I was 16, 17 years old, I was taken to a psychiatrist, which she diagnosed me with ADHD and other diagnostics. I didn't last more than 1 month in it because it will this one of the side effects of the medication was really strong to me. So I have a lot of nervous tics that in my daily basis I control them and I don't have any issue with them, but that medication specifically will trigger them, and it will trigger them all at once. So I had one that was moving my neck, then another one that was like back and forth in my neck like this. So I'll be like doing like this out of the sudden, my once in my stomach, my hands. So I couldn't even had a full conversation with someone without having to stop to perform my tics, because if not, it will give me anxiety. So I stopped taking that medication when I was literally like 2 months after I got the prescription. And in my second year, basically my university had a protest when they stopped classes for 2 months. When we got back, all the professors made us take all the tests in the same week, back to back to back to back. And I had one exam at 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. and another exam at 7 a.m. And then thankfully my stepfather is a psychiatrist, and he has been he has been with my mom. He was like, you need to take Adderall. I recommend it. It's not gonna be the same. But I was scared about medication, so I was, resistant to the idea of drinking another medication towards ADHD. And my mind was like, I've dealt with it until like all this time. I can deal with it. And he said like, okay, come to my house, I'll give you one, you try it for your exam, whatever, and if you feel comfortable that you manage to concentrate yourself to study better, I will give you the prescription that I think that it's good for you. I took it for that week as a trial, and everything changed. Like since that day, like since that week, everything changes. Like my concentration, it's something that has um become part of my daily routine of drinking the pill in the mornings. It has helped me a lot in many things, not only in school, but in working, my family, my partners. Because usually, if I don't take it, I I cannot maintain proper eye contact with the person if I'm talking to the person. One of the main problems that I still have to this day is that I forget people's name. Like, let's say I just met you and you say, "Hey, my name is this," and even though I'm having a conversation for a full hour, the next day I don't know your name because I forgot, because I was so concentrated and look at the eyes, listen to what he's saying, that I forgot the first part of the conversation. I always have trouble reading, and this has helped me a lot to read. Before taking it, I first of all I have problems with the comprehension, lecture comprehension. Uh, but the main part that was affecting me is that if I was reading a book or a paper, my ADHD will go wild because I have no stimuli. Like I need stimuli. And the fact that it's just black and white letters, that's how I will see it. I could read a word and out loud, and I don't know what the word means, just because I have no simulation. I have nothing with the paper, and I will concentrate even in the edges of the paper, like putting my hand on the edges of the paper. If it had the AC on, I will concentrate on the AC. Any sound will literally get my mind off, like other than actually reading. Once I started taking the medication, I could sit down and read, not for prolonged time, but I don't have to reread and reread and reread what a one same paragraph. Another thing that has that I have noticed throughout the years is that I get really anxious if I'm sitting down for a prolonged time. I need to stand up, I need to walk, I need to do something. If I take my medication, I'm able to sit down, relax, and listen to the lecture if I'm taking a lecture, work, or anything that I have to do without any problems. But not gonna lie, that the medication is not enough because I still have problems concentrating. Let's say that I'm studying for an exam and I've been 1 hour reading or doing something about the topic. My mind gets tired really easily, and it happens with anything and everything, not only studies. Like if I'm doing a task for a prolonged time, I get bored. I cannot go to a normal gym. I cannot go to a normal gym because my mind gets so tired about repetition that I just don't want to do it. So I need, when I do exercise, I need dynamic exercise like boxing, MMA, baseball, like something that I need to be paying attention to many things so I can be concentrated in what I'm doing, not just counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm not gonna do even 2 sets of that type of exercise.
What did you say the medication's called?
Adderall. It's I have it over here. It's amphetamine. Let me look for the whole name. Amphetamine aspartate.
Right. Well, it seems to really make a difference. Did the psychologist or doctor explain what it does in the brain? How does it affect?
Yeah, it does. It inhibits the dopamine, the serotonin rebounds and increases dopamine release in the brain. So it's basically a stimulant. Here in the UK, it's illegal. So when I go back home, every time I go back home, I need to get my prescription, bring it back because it's not that it's illegal, it's prohibited, that it's different. So also another thing that I'm taking recently, now that you mentioned about what is a medication, what it does, I'm also taking bupropion, that it's an antidepressant, but I'm not taking it for the reasons of the depression. I'm taking it because they have shown that ADHD helps with the concentration. Bupropion will help to organize your thoughts, organize your task. So I'm taking them together, and both of them have worked fantastic with me. Obviously, I am a person that I time my pills because I have prescription that I drink twice a day. I have one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And it lasts like the one in the morning lasts 12 hours, the one in the afternoon only lasts 6 hours. So if let's say that I want to study until 10 p.m., I will drink it at 4 instead of 1. That I had a schedule so I can prolong the time of the effect that the pill has on me.
Right. It's really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing all that. I worked, as I said, in a school in several schools, but with special needs children. And I just wondered how the ADHD affected you in school. How would you say it affected your learning from the time you entered school?
I think that throughout all my life and including now that I'm medicated, it affects me a lot. Especially with the school systems, the normal school system that here in the UK you have, in the US and all around the world, that is sit down at a desk, the teacher speaks, and you have to listen. That has been always a big obstacle for me because I need stimuli. I need to see things. I'm a visual learner, like and the fact that I need to see things to do it, it's something that since I was a little kid has always affected me. Thankfully, in the school that I went in elementary school, that is basically since you're like 3, 4 until you're like 12. Thankfully, that school will have a lot of pictures. They will teach you with a lot of pictures. So or activities, and that's the way that I learned the most because you're taking my concentration and you're putting it in something rather than just
Yeah.
what?
That's really interesting that you talk about the way you learned in primary school, because I think that's an important lesson for us as teachers. A lot of schooling, as you say, is just kind of basically doing things for the children, reading to them, or just giving them something to write. But an active engagement is really important for children, of all kinds, especially if you have attention problems in the classroom. So that's good. So when you moved to secondary school, did you find that didn't happen? You didn't have that same kind of active engagement?
So one of the things that I have most okay, so when I moved to secondary school, the moment I started classes, I wanted to leave that school. Now I'm gonna put that in front because it was a system that I hated it. It's the type of system that is basically indoctrinating you. Like it is what I said, and you don't have any question. Sit down, don't talk, don't just write down and leave school. And I spent 3 years in that school until I finally convinced my dad to move me from school. Uh, but those 3 years were really hard for me. Like I've never had bad grades, don't get me wrong, but they were really, really, really hard for me because they will give you massive textbooks and oh, you have to read the textbook. The textbooks basically you're old enough, so rarely any pictures, diagrams. Like to give you an example, how I see things when I learn, I see everything as a conceptual map. Like my brain doesn't see or think in words. It thinks in pictures and diagrams. So let's say that I don't know if you tell me to go from here to the train station, my brain is not gonna tell me, okay, after the gate in the university, turn left or then go right. No, I'm just gonna see the path. Like I know the path. Since I'm looking, I know the path. So it's like imagining like being in a video game, just walking around. Same when I'm studying. If you're explaining to me a chronological order of events, my mind just imagine literally a line and the events coming down. It's something that a lot of people that don't have ADHD don't understand, but like everything for me is very visual. And in that middle school, it was all textbook, no nothing, not much activities. And one of the things that helps the most is when I can engage with the lecturer, when I can ask questions and you can say something back to me and I can engage, not only like, oh, but why? Oh, because I say so. Well, I'm not engaging because you just got the engagement. So if I'm still having doubts, I'm gonna have that doubt forever. It's not gonna be like, okay, it's this. No, I'm gonna be like, but why? But why did she said that? Like it's not gonna make sense. So I'm not gonna learn that much. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I really understand what you're saying there. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think the school system as it is not really designed for every child. I mean, there are many types of learners, and the school system's it suits kind of a middle range of learners, not everyone, and it's very difficult. So when you got the diagnosis, that was your age 15, was it? When you were diagnosed?
16, 17.
16 or so, yeah. And you were in a school at the time. Did the school make any adjustments for you? Were they aware of that? No, they
No.
didn't.
No, like at first while I was in high school, me personally, I kept thinking that I didn't have any problems. So like I was okay with it. And when I moved from school, uh, well, the only major problem that I had in my first secondary school was the reading comprehension uh, lectures. Like, you know, that I don't know how the system works here with English class, but since we're little, we have to take Spanish and English class. So, and the classes, once you go to secondary school, well, finishing elementary school and secondary school, they're divided in two. They're divided in grammar and lecture and literature. Sorry, in literature. So in grammar, I will be perfect. I know every rule. I will be literally nine. In our system, it's like 90% up on all the exams. I think the equivalent here is like 7 up. But in the literature review, I will always fail. So I will literally I will always have the like, okay, I need to focus on grammar because at the end of the day, I know that I'm gonna fail reading a book. So at least I can compensate with one. Like I wouldn't push myself to do so much in literature because I knew that that was my flaw. That was my weakness point in studies. So I would concentrate in the other things. And when I moved to the other school, that I started getting medicated and stuff like that, I would be able to read a little bit more, but I would not be able to get things like poems or like books that you like, things that represent something. Let's say that you put in a sentence that, oh, because the red of your eyes make me happy or nervous, put it like that. Just to put it like that, I would not try to think that the red of the eye means an emotion. Like I will understand it as I read it. It's not the same as having a conversation that I can have visual cues, body language, tone, anything. When it's written, I cannot imagine anything. Like if I read a novel, I cannot imagine what I'm reading.
I want to talk about vision as well, actually, at the moment, because when I've talked to the lady this morning, for example, and I've talked to other people, they seem to have a problem with visual attention. She said, for example, a peripheral vision is very difficult to manage. She doesn't see things coming from the sides, or she misses things. She misses people who are in the peripheral of her vision. Do you ever find things like that with your vision? Do you have any particular things that you notice?
I am completely opposite. I if I'm walking around, I'm gonna be literally paying attention to everything, listening to everything,
Okay.
because I look for the stimuli.
Yeah.
I am constantly looking something to look, to hear, to whatever. If I hear a noise that I find interesting, I'm gonna instantly look.
Are you actually
Like
seeking stimulation? This is what
yeah,
your brain
I
is
am
doing.
constantly. I don't know if you have noticed that I sometimes, like during this interview, my head moves around, and it's just because I am looking to. My mind just wants to look at something.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
and
explain.
that's when you're on medication. You're on medication now, but you're
Yes,
still seeking stimulation. So the medication only works so far.
yeah.
You're still seeking stimulation. That must be very difficult, actually, just in a social sense, meeting with people, because you said about difficulty making eye contact. If you're engaging in a conversation with somebody, does it actually create problems? You keep looking around, seeking stimulation.
It, it depends. To be really honest, it depends, and it's the same in studies. So my experience with ADHD and people that I know, um, it happens that you hyperfixate in something, right? Or you will follow what they call follow the dopamine. Some friend says it's like you follow what is interesting, you follow what it calls your attention. So ADHD people or myself, because I'm not going to talk for others, we tend to, let's say I tend to be able to even concentrate without the medication if it's something that I really like,
Mm.
because it's secreting dopamine for me. It's making me happy.
For those who don't know what dopamine is, it's like it's a neurotransmitter in the brain that it's like the reward mechanism in the brain, isn't it? So it's the pleasure principle in a sense. So you're seeking dopamine because dopamine gives you that pleasure.
And going back to your questions, to answer it more precisely, I can have a conversation with a person if I'm interested, and concentrate in the conversation and remember everything that the person says, every detail, if I am interested in what the person is saying.
So that's a key thing, actually. The other lady mentioned that it's like hyperfixating. If you're interested, you hyperfixate, and does that mean you also block everything else out? So if you're hyperfixating, then you're not actually paying attention to other things. Do you find that as well?
I will have to say that it depends on the scenario. Because right now I am in my room in a safe place, in a safe space. I don't have much stimuli on my back. noise or whatever. So I would say that I can concentrate completely in this conversation because it's something that I want to do, rather than if I'm in outside in a party scene, maybe the music comes up and the music is more interesting for me than what I'm talking. Like right now, I'm super concentrated with you because it's interesting, that conversation. But then a song comes that I really like, I'm gonna be like, wait a minute, I need to sing a moment. Give me a second, because if not, in the middle of the conversation, I'm gonna be like, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna even listening to what you're saying. I'm looking at your eyes, but I'm listening to the song. So it all varies between what are my interests at the moment. If I'm having a conversation with a person, it does happen that sometimes I don't drink my medication because I don't know, I forgot or I didn't want to drink it, and I am interested in the conversation, but I'm moving around. I cannot sit down. I cannot stop looking around.
So
I like
the movement actually helps you to concentrate. So if in this scenario, you are fixating and say on this conversation, it will help you just to move around. It helps you to concentrate, to move around. I mean, that's, I suppose, a little bit like what we might call a kinesthetic learner. So they need to be moving to learn, would you say?
I would agree in a sense. What I do, I fidget a lot with my hands. I have a lot of rings, so I move them around like to satisfy that need of things. I one thing that ADHD had brought me problems is with my teeth, because I put like, since I need some stimuli, sometimes I don't want to stand up because I'm studying, and I put like caps of water bottles in my mouth so I can chew on something, chew a lot of gum, bite anything plastic that I can literally have and I it's funny. Do you know, like, you have the rope with the dog, right? That you play with the dog. Literally, it's me myself. I put something and I start doing like this
Yeah.
because I'm stimulating myself to doing something while I am concentrating on something, but I'm channeling that energy that I want to get out of my body. I'm channeling by something. I start, like I said, moving my hands.
So take this scenario, right? This is a real case for me. I'm in a classroom. I've gone to see a boy. He has a sight problem, but he's also got ADHD. And I see this boy constantly fidgeting with his hands. He's even playing like an air guitar, you know. He's doing all sorts of things with his hands. He's fidgeting. Um, and at the same time, you know, trying to learn, trying to pay attention to the teacher. What would you say to that boy? What would you do in that situation? Would you stop the boy fidgeting? Does it help to actually do anything to the boy to stop the fidget? No, it doesn't help.
Don't, like, my suggestion, I will try to channel that energy to find something that he can channel it to learn, but don't stop the boy from doing those things, because he's gonna get anxious. Like I remember when I was a little kid, I would literally want to stand up the desk and just walk because I want to get my energy out. I'm listening to you, but I'm walking.
In that situation, I could actually suggest that the boy just goes for a little walk and then comes and sits down. Would that actually help him?
Yes, or another thing that will help me, and still helps me on to this day, when I'm revising for my exams or whatnot, I write everything big or in post-its, like, let me show you. Like, I write everything in post-its, and I try to like put it in a form of like a diagram. So I will write in a post-it and entertain myself. Okay, this goes here, this goes there, this goes there, and I'm concentrating, but I'm making a mental game with myself to entertain myself as a reward. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this diagram. I have this diagram in my head. How can I do it? Like, I challenge myself. Okay, I have it here. How can I put it here? Or if I'm reading something and like I'm reading a PowerPoint, what's the best way I can put it in a precise and concise way that I can understand it here in my wall? And I will literally use that energy, like, okay, what can I do? And I'm concentrating because I'm playing with myself, so I can actually channel that energy. If I don't do those type of things and I'm just reading or typing in the computer, I trust me that it doesn't matter if I type 3,000 words, I'm not going to remember none of them. Ask me questions like, what's the color of the sky? And I'm literally, and you put like pictures, and I'm be like, okay, that's one. Okay, what is that color? Okay, it's blue. Because you're trying to grab my attention. They just not only tell me the color of the sky is blue. You know what I mean? It's easier to say it. Oh, the color of the sky is blue, But if I'm not paying attention to you, if I'm not engaging with you, most probably I'm going to forget.
That is the
But
key thing is engagement. It's engagement, isn't it? It's you being engaged and the person, say the teacher, for example, engaging with you in an appropriate way. And that's, I think, that's the absolutely the bottom line, isn't it? If you're not engaged, and if the teacher says not engaged, or you're not engaged if you're working on a computer, and you're not actually engaged with the task, then you're not going to remember anything. You're not going to learn anything. Come back to this vision question, because I'm particularly interested in something called cerebral visual impairment, and that is where it's something different from the eyes. But when the message goes to the back of the brain, it starts to get understood. It's the brain that actually sees. So when say the messages are sent to different parts of the brain, and sometimes people have a difficulty for filtering out visual information. And I think I have a feeling that with ADHD, as you said, you have lots of stimulation. Does it actually make it easier to see things or harder to see things? Do you find that you kind of trip over things sometimes? You're clumsy, or you find that you actually miss things that are obvious. Do you find that you have an inattention sometimes?
I cannot say that I haven't had that type of experience. What it does happen is that I forget where I placed things. And let's say that I never placed them here in front of my computer. And yes, maybe when I'm looking, I'm not looking in the desk because I've never placed them here. So yes, based on your question, maybe it actually like it it answers your question in a way, but at the same time, I can say like the things I'm not thinking that it's in the desk. I'm thinking that it might be on another place. So I'm not looking at the desk. It sounds or time, specifically time. Uh, let's say that I put something in the microwave and I started playing in my phone. I might maybe dismiss the sound of the microwave finishing or dismiss the sound of the water boiling because I'm concentrating on something. So to be really honest, I don't think that it's necessarily something visual. It's something more sensory than in general sense. Because in my case, since I look for stimuli, visual stimuli, I tend to look everywhere.
A couple of minutes to tell people what's really important to you about ADHD, to raise awareness of friends, teachers, professors, the general public. What are the key things that you would want them to know about ADHD as it affects you?
I think that the main two people that I would like to address it will be the parents and the teachers, because most of the time friends actually have more compassions than parents and teachers. I would say that try to understand the kid before actually judging them. Like, for example, I was always told like, oh, you're just lazy, you just don't want to read. And I'm like, I'm trying to read. I've read the same page 6 times and I don't know what it's saying. I'll sit down and keep reading. And it's like, you're not, the thing is like, when I'm a kid, I don't know how to put things in the proper words. So like try to understand what I'm saying. Like I cannot tell you, sorry, I have a deficit of attention and I cannot understand precisely what I'm reading because my brain is not processing the words. Like you're a kid, you don't know how to talk to like that, you know? Try like and teachers try to engage more with the students. I know that sometimes it might be difficult to having 6 7 kids running around. Okay, it's not that let them run around, but give something visually or sound, something that the student can concentrate and has some stimuli, because at the end of the day, the student that doesn't have ADHD, it's still going to learn by something visual or auditory, like because they don't have problem concentrating what you show them. But people like me, we have problem with that. So try to find a solution that we can both benefit. You as a teacher, that you don't have to deal with all the students running around, but also us the students, that we can have a appropriate way of learning. Another thing is that it took me a while to understand, and this is to people that has ADHD that doesn't know. I still struggle with motivation, and that's something that happens a lot. My mood swings goes up and down, and that's normal of the ADHD. So one day I wake up super happy, energetic, and in the afternoon I need to wash my clothes, and I'm like, I really don't want to walk to the laundry. And it's still a struggle. And it's gonna be a struggle all your life. Just so you know that, don't think that's something wrong, that you're sad. It is like that. Another thing is that I believe that ADHD, I look for the good side of it. And the good side of it is that I'm never tired of learning something new or doing something new. The sad part is that it's not prolonged. So let's say I started photography, film photography. I bought 7 cameras that I have right here. I learned everything and anything. I hyperfixated even in learning the chemistry behind the film. But once I dominated film photography, I haven't taken a picture in a month because
You're
my mind.
yeah, you actually use film most of the time, do you? You don't use digital.
I do digital, right? But like I have what I have my film camera here. This is one.
Ah,
Oh, sorry. This is
okay.
one.
Olympus. Okay.
I have another one here. And it's like I bought everything. I hyperfixated learning everything. But once I dominated it, my brain just went like, okay, you finish your task. Like you're done. Like it's always a task. It's a challenge. Life is a game. You need to do something to feel good. It's like you need to get to the end.